Okay, kind of a snowy day, so I thought maybe a good opportunity to get back onto Jim's Continental quarter panel here. Let's have a look. This is the area right behind the door, and cut it off. I've cut away I was going to say I've cut away the damaged part. I've cut away the rusty part. The whole thing's pretty badly damaged. Here's the chunk that we made a couple weeks ago. I just haven't had time to put it on yet. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's a little bit heavier steel than the original, so maybe a bit of a challenge to weld that in there, but we'll probably be able to do it. So what I've done, I took this off, I had it screwed on there. I'm going to clean up this line here, make that a little nicer, and then we'll screw this back on, and then I'm going to mark the back of this, and I'm going to trim this replacement panel to match that. I was going to trim this to match the new piece, but it's just everything's wagging around in the air so much there. So I'm going to clean this up and then we'll screw this back on. It's just a little wavy here and I don't want to try and make all that fit. Better to put a nice straight line there to start, so that's what I'm going to do. Okay, got a couple little tacks in there just holding it. It's nice and flush here. I'm not going to worry about the ends. I'm not worried about any of this. I don't care if that corner lines up. All of that is fine-tuning stuff. All I care about right now is this line, getting that done, because it's very hard to fine-tune that once it's on the car. All the corners and edges and whatever, those can all be, beat and hammered and tweaked and filed and fiddled with, but we have to get this right. So I'm going to go back in, fill in, keep cutting the gaps in half, and then we'll begin butt welding it in there. That's all. We'll just carry on here. Not much to see. Okay, pretty straight ahead. Just got our tack in. Let's have a look at the back. Looks like we're getting good penetration on the welds there. And so I'm going to leave the heat setting where it is and just start connecting the dots. I'm going to finish welding this out and then we're going to rough it off with the grinder, and then the actual work is trying to straighten out whatever mess you've made after you're done welding it. So let's have a look at that. Okay, there's our little repair, welded in there. Now just the grind, back to the grind. I'm going to clean this up front and back a little bit, and then we're going to just start seeing exactly what we've got to do to hammer this back flat. I don't know, sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's not. This will probably be not. Okay, I'll do a little grinding. Boy, that's fun. Okay, there she is welded on. Weld itself looks okay, but there's a real transition in the shape here, a real kink. So now I'm going to have to dolly all this. So we're going to start by just trying to pound this back down. This should be tangent and there's a big kink in it there. So I'll just start hammering on it and see what happens here. Okay, there's where we're at for today. I'm going to leave it there for now. I'm not going to get too carried away detailing all that until this is welded in as well. And you can see just how much damage was done by the previous attempt at repairing it. They literally just ground everything and took a pick hammer and beat it all down to try to shrink out all the extra waves and ripples in it. So it's going to be a while before that's all presentable, but we got to start with the rust, so we're going to do that and one more big repair here, and then we'll go around it all and hammer it out a little more. But at least it's in and it's fitting and looks decent so far. So 2 out of 3, and we'll get back at the rest of it tomorrow here. Today I thought since we're done the majority of the rust repair, there's really only a couple of kind of irritating collision repairs that need to be done on the Rover here, and let's have a look at this one because I've been kind of, I've been putting this off just because it's it's a bit of a job for the 1/8 of an inch that we're going to get out of it. But anyway, let's have a look. What's happened is at some point the car was hit here, and this is all kind of, it looks like all of this whole area was folded in like this. You see you got some collapsing here, a lot of ugliness there. Now it's been pulled back out kind of more or less and kind of beat back into shape, but you see this big indentation here, that's not supposed to be there. And you see that the front face of this box section here should be square like that, like it is on the other side. And we see, if we lay this on there, it's about like that. It is pushed substantially back. It looks like somebody's tried to pull it ahead. Anyway, they had kind of cheated it out, but the corner of the car here never looked right before we took it apart. I knew we'd have problems here, and sure enough, here we are. So we've got some, I don't know what's going on here. We've got some ugliness here. Most of it's not bad, but the thing is, if we don't get this hole out to about there, we're not going to have any success. So in order to get the fender, grill, hood, everything to line up, this is pretty critical. So I'm unfortunately going to have to drill all of this off. You can see spot welds all the way down here. And it looks like I'll have to take this center cross member off and lay it aside, repair this, repair the apron, then weld that back on. So I'm going to get started on that. I'm not saying for sure we'll get it done today, but there's just not really any, I just don't want to do all this work and put it back together with that ugly, half finished collision repair on it there. Not that we haven't done enough drilling on this car, but well, let's do some more. Okay. Are you going to help? Oh, that's good. Okay, more furnace action. It's gotten really cold again, so happy to just stay inside. Let's get busy. All right, got all of our welds pilot drilled, so we're just going to move up to maybe 1/4 inch drill bit here, maybe a tiny bit under. They seem to be fairly small, but no shortage of them. This little piece, you can see it's maybe 12 to 14 inches long. 46 welds so far. So this is not atypical of this type of car. I worked on an E-type one time, and we had to put, I forget what it was, wheel tub or something in it. The welds were so close they were basically touching. There was no way of drilling them out. There would have been nothing left to weld it to. So you actually had to cut the panel and grind the flange back off flush. So this is, by comparison to that, this is quite easy. Only 46. So we'll have another look in a minute here. Well, I have to take a little break from making noise here. Somebody's trying to have a nap. Are you? Mm-hmm. That's okay. You go ahead and have a nap. So, since I'm reduced to doing quiet things, I'm going to start prepping my motorcycle. Here I've got a bunch of body panels and whatnot. I've got 2 tanks. There's one up there, one over there in front of the roadster. Anyway, I want to get 2 complete sets of Honda 750 bodywork painted for next summer so that I can update my daily driver and put one back to original that I modified probably 25 years ago, almost exactly 25 years ago. But now that everybody's making cafe racers out of 750 Hondas, I'm putting mine back to stock. So I have some nice pieces and I have some not so bad pieces and I've got some pieces. And we're gonna see if we can make one daily driver and one I'm gonna take the best of what I have. None of it's mint, but I want to take all my best stuff and put it on one 1971 model. Then I want to take all my second best stuff and put it on my daily driver. And I'm gonna take everything that's left, throw it all together and sell it because I don't need like 7 of those bikes. So, well, Mini Frankers has an app. I'm gonna start prepping these pieces for paint, and I have not decided what colors to do them. So if you guys have any ideas, I know they came in red and blue and I think brown and you know, the usual type of candy. It's all candy, so it's fun to paint, and we'll do a little series on painting that stuff up. But since I have an opportunity here, or rather since Frankers is sleeping and I'm forced to think of something to do, I'm going to start prepping these pieces. So we've got 3 broken side covers, 1 good one. These are the little skirts that go over the forks to hold the headlight. This one's got a dent in it. And fun thing about that is that happened the day I put the bike together. I pulled on the handlebars and they weren't tight, and they came around and they gouged that before I even had the bike put together. So that was exciting. So now, 25 years later, I'm going to fix that dent and we're going to prep this guy out. Got a decent headlight bucket there, another decent one here. With these Hondas, you've got the early ones, the headlight bucket and fork covers here are painted to match the color of the bike. Later ones, the headlight's black, and these pieces are just chromed, so you didn't have to disassemble the whole bike to paint it. But the early ones, I think they look better with the pieces painted to match the tank, so that's what we're doing anyway, and that's what's correct on these early 70s ones. So, I don't know, I'm just going to get at that, and we're not going to dwell on it too much until we get it closer to paint. So, anyway, that's what I'm doing. Got some nice early tanks here that I've more or less roughed out last year and just got to get them ready for paint now. Okay, go ahead and have a nap. I'll be right back. I mean, I won't even go anywhere. I'll be right here. Okay? What a good girl. This is an absolute bastard because this lip is rolled over right where you'd want to get in and, you know, and slide those apart. Of course, half the welds are going to stick unless you drill the holes massively oversized. So I prefer to drill them a little undersized, and then if I get some bugger ones, I drill them out till it pops. But not an easy piece. You'll notice that most of the rest of the car is done before I did this bullshit job. I did promise it to Al, but he wisely found something else to do. Al, that's awesome. I hope that Al lets us check in on his mini projects here soon enough. So this is all very easy until you're trying to save both pieces. If I was just trying to save the apron or just trying to save the the brace here, this would be easy. But when you're trying to save them both, you can't just go hog wild and chop it all off and trim off the stuff you don't want. And sometimes pieces like this, literally over 50 welds in this little piece here, and there's no access to any of it to chisel it off. It's just an absolute bastard. So, that said, here we go. Okay, where's the... A nightmare, just a nightmare. So, I used to get really worried about bending this stuff to get it out of the way. And oh God, look at the mess we made. But honestly, it takes 30 seconds to hammer this all flat again. And we already have a lot of pre-existing damage. So I'm just not, just not going to worry about putting a few kinks in this right now. Because that's all going to get fixed anyway. Oh, you absolute bastard. Oh, finally. God. There. Okay, where are we now? Now we're here. Let's see, I can't get in there. Oh, we gotta go down. Ow! Yeah, and always be in a hurry. Be in a hurry whenever possible, because it's awesome. Anybody who's done this knows that if there's a micron of a weld holding, you are not getting that out. There. Fine. Now, I hope we can see why I took that off now. See, that's supposed to be straight. You can see over here. That apron is dead flat all the way out to the front of the grill. Not, I mean, it's pushed 3/4 of an inch from true here. So all this now can get hammered out. All of this bullshit can get repaired. Look at the mess here. It's got kinks in it. So all of that can get fixed now. And, we're not picking on whoever did it the first time, because any body shop at any time is getting, they're doing the job they're getting paid to do. And they probably got paid to yank that back out and put her back together. So that's what they did. Now, very easy to see, looking down there, how far from true that is. Back flange is mint. Front flange here is folded way in. So, it's all very heavy too. This is all 16 gauge piece. So it'll clean up really well. There's no rust to speak of, and even down here is a little bit of surface rust, but this panel is 65 thou thick, so that's not going to give any trouble. We're going to straighten that out, and we'll have her all tacked back together, and then put the crossover back in there. Yeah. Kind of a mess, but I'm really happy. That was not something I was looking forward to doing. So this is now easy. That was the only part of this job that's hard. The rest of this will hammer up really nice. Okay, why are you in such a hurry? Because I left Menace Dog unattended in the house. Now that she's 4.5, I thought, let's see what she does. Yeah, well, yeah. So I'm going to get back in there before she has emptied the cupboards, or, well, whatever it is that poodles do when they're unattended. We'll rejoin this as we're hammering it. Very good. Okay, are you calmed down now or what? Hey? Calm down. Hey, there's one for our buddy at Weird Beard Auto Sales. Check it out, he's going to put his 72 Fury back on the road. Obviously an enthusiastic thumbs up from us here. Mine's not going back on the road anytime soon though. I'm looking forward to seeing that one go back together, buddy. Hey guys, thanks for tuning into the show today. I just wanted to put a couple of little notes here at the front or the middle or wherever I decide to stick this. I'm feeling kind of under the weather this week, so I'm not sure if we're going to be able to put together the type and length and quality of video that I like to, just because I'm missing several days of work here because I just kind of, trying to get over this flu or whatever they're marketing it as this year. I'm feeling a little better already, and I expect to be quite well recovered in the next couple of days here, but I'm really trying to get a certain amount of rest, and it's just hard to do a lot of physical work right now. So since that's mostly what we are trying to do here, and I also had plans to go over to Jim's and we were going to fit the quarter panel up on the Continental, but in the interest of kind of minimizing my exposure to everybody, we're going to postpone that for a week or so. So yeah, I just want to let everybody know that that's what's happening this week. I'm feeling a little better, but the same old shit that everybody has. So I just want to get over it as quick as I can and get back at it here. A couple of funny things. Well, funny I guess if you like getting ripped off. About once every month or so I like to type in Cold War Motors into a Google search and just see what comes up. And what came up this time around was sweatshirts and hoodies, which I don't actually sell. So I guess the upside is that you must have attained some level of success if you're getting ripped off by anonymous Chinese websites. So if you do come across the same old shit, sweatshirts and such, those have nothing to do with me, even though they say Cold War Motors on them and all that. That is a ripoff. We have nothing to do with that. The only things that we sell are at coldwarmotors.com. And on that note, thank you so much to everybody who ordered a Boogie Van shirt and coffee mug or sticker or all that. We, as far as I know, we should be just about finished printing the shirts by now because of the way we do it. We take orders and then print to order, and that way there's not extra inventory laying around, and it allows us to move on and do the next shirt or whatever. So thank you guys so much for everybody who ordered one, and thank you for your patience. I'm not sure what the state of the mail system is anymore. We've done very well in the past getting everything out within a reasonable amount of time, so please bear with us, and I'm 100% confident that everybody will get their shirts. And I will let everybody know once the mailing has started, and I expect that to be by this time next week. I expect that many of the shirts will be in the mail, and 2 weeks from now they should all be in the mail. Thank you guys so much again for helping keep this nonsense on the air. What did we manage to achieve this week? Well, I've got some more work going on the Rover here. We'll probably have a look at that. I don't know if I will be able to finish as much as I wanted to, but I'll probably put in as much as I have gotten finished, at least to keep moving that project along. And in the next week or two I'd like to see the bottom of the car painted and pieces starting to go back on, because we really need to get it back on its wheels so that we can do the final fit up on all the body panels and start prep and paint. The Chevy here, I haven't had much time for it, but we'll see what happens. And it's just so crowded in here. I've put the Model T and the Chevy, and you can't even walk between them. It's just to start doing any more amount of work on the Chevy here would be counterproductive. I mean, if I put one more tool in here, I won't even be able to move. So we're going to have to wait for the weather to smarten up it's supposed to get a little nicer this week, and if that's the case, maybe on the weekend. Of course, I have to move the couple of cars out of the way, and it all seems very easy until it's cold and everything's frozen to the ground and whatever. So if I get a chance, I'd like to pull the T outside and fire it up and test the generator, which I've been playing with a bit, and I haven't driven it with the rear end rebuilt. So if that goes well, that would be terrific, and I can look forward to a little Model T action, I hope, for next week. Anyway, appreciate you all, your patience with this. Just, of course, I've spent 2 years doing absolutely nothing to avoid getting sick from this, whatever they're calling it. And so, I was actually kind of happy to finally just get it over with. So good, no worries here, and I'll be fine. One thing I thought might be fun and fairly low stress. One thing that people had asked about multiple times was the yellow Plymouth next door, and I thought, since I'm not really feeling up to doing a lot of actual heavy work in the next day or two here, maybe we should spend a few minutes and go over that car. It's kind of cold in there, but it might be a fun opportunity, and I don't think we've spent very much time with that car since I've got it, and there's kind of a fun story to it. So maybe let's pop next door here and have a look at the 1959 Plymouth Fury, and we'll just have a look at it. Okay. Anybody who's watched any number of our videos might remember that we've gone over to my friend Mark's house several times, either to pick up one of his cars or go for a drive. Mark owns that lovely gray 1941 Dodge luxury liner that we've featured in several videos and did a Will It Run series on probably 8 or so years ago. Mark also has a beautiful 1933 Pontiac, and we've seen his I think it's a 79 Ferrari 308 that Stephen has been tasked with maintaining and putting a few miles on. Mark has a pretty fun collection of cars, and I believe we've walked through his collection at least once. And anyhow, I've known Mark for quite a while, and met him when he was looking for somebody to restore his 1970 Torino 429 Super Cobra Jet car, which I did in the year, it took a whole year, I think it was 2006 or all of 2007, I don't know, somewhere in there. It was a mess. It was a situation where it looked a lot better on eBay. This was, before some of us had developed a healthy cynicism and skepticism about eBay cars, and he had bought it based on some convincing looking photographs and whatever. So when he got the car home, it was more or less a shipwreck, and so I agreed to take it on, and it was a pretty massive welding project, and I wasn't as equipped, not that this place is well equipped now, but it certainly wasn't very well equipped then. But Mark, to his everlasting credit, put up with the progress, and we did eventually put the car together, and it's very, it was very rewarding to see it finished, and it's a cool car. I think maybe we'll see this summer if we can get over there and take it for a spin. It's a 1970 Torino. I don't think it's even a Torino. Some muscle car guys could fill me in, but I believe it's just a Fairlane with a 429 4-speed bench seat, total stripper car. Really cool, really fun, and a mean looking car. So I would like to show it off here one of these days. It doesn't get used, and so we would have to go over and put some gas and a battery and whatever in it, but a fun car. I think it's in one of the videos. I think we walk around it or underneath it. Anyhow, Mark also likes to go to the big auctions in Arizona. that they have. I think he's there right now, as a matter of fact. But I think he's under very strict orders from his wife, no more cars. So, you know, don't worry about it, Mark. Buy some cars. If he's watching. Yeah, so Mark was at the auction 5 years ago. I think they have 2 or 3 of them in Arizona at about the same time. The Scottsdale, they have 2 or 3 of the big auctions there, roughly the same during the same week or same 2 weeks or whatever. So he likes to wander around and whatever. So, and he was looking at a Continental Mark 1, 1948, I believe. So he sent me a text and it said, have a look on your computer at this car and tell me what you think of it, because I might bid on it. So I said, sure, that'll be fun. I'm always happy to help other people waste their money on cars. So I went in the house and I turned on the computer and I found the Continental that he was looking at and gave him my opinion, what I thought of the car. And you can't really tell too much from these auction things, except that it looked like a driver quality older restoration that was fairly presentable, and but wasn't wasn't a showpiece, but it would have been a fine car. And and we were kind of bullshitting about it, and he says, well, why don't you scroll through what they have for sale there and tell me if there's anything that you think is interesting. And I said, yeah, sure, because I was kind of trying to talk him into an 80s Bentley Turbo or something like that to kind of round out his supercar kind of collection. It was something a little more sedan-like. And so I went in and I was scrolling through it. I think I highlighted, there was a Bentley there, and there was something else. There were some fun cars there. And then I happened upon 1959 Plymouth Fury, original paint, low mileage car. And I know Mark doesn't like those kind of cars, but of course I do. So I said to him, I sent him a note. I said, well, this is the best car. You should buy this Plymouth. And, kind of, kind of, because I know that he doesn't really care about this type of car. And I didn't really think that much of it after that. He did end up buying a Ford truck there that year to tow a boat that he had bought, and I think if we haven't had a look at that boat, we're going to have to do a proper look at it. Anyway, long story, slightly less long. It was probably a month or 2 later, I forget if I'd stopped in or whatever, and he opens the garage, and there's this yellow 59 Plymouth Fury sitting in the garage, and I was super excited for him because I knew the car was good. And so I was really happy. I took all these pictures of the car, and I was like, hey, Mark bought this sweet Plymouth, it was great. And I was sending pictures to Dean and sending pictures to my friends, and it was all very exciting. And we walked around the car with Mark, and we made kind of a plan and talked about what it needed and what it didn't need, and this type of thing, and what we would do to it, and what we, because it needed everything needs work, right? So we had made a bit of a plan, and anyhow, I went to leave, and he said, well, just take it with you. I bought it for you. I just couldn't accept a gift like that. So, but I also thought, well, Mark's not into these cars, and he didn't buy it for himself, so we need to think of something. So I said, well, I can't accept it. It's just too nice. It's just, I could never afford something like that. And he said, well, why don't you trade me for a paint job? And I was like, okay, that seemed fair. And I said, okay, well, what car do you want painted? And I kind of knew what car he wanted painted, and I think you guys have all seen it. And it was that 69 Cougar that was here. And he said, well, I'd like the Cougar painted, and change the color back to the original, this kind of thing. So we agreed on that would be a fair trade for this car. I did end up taking the car because there was no point in him storing a car that he was basically bought for me. So I brought the car home and I put it right here, and that's where it is sat. I decided right away that I was not going to drive this car or use it or do anything, too much to it until the Cougar was finished, painted, delivered, and after that, then this would be my car and I could decide what I was going to do with it. But until then, I was really determined that I wasn't going to touch it or use it or do anything with it because it wasn't really mine. So that's why you didn't really see anything about it on the channel or on the show. You know, Mark's the kind of guy, it occurred to me some time later, and I remembered that he had asked me to paint the Cougar when he first got it, and I said, no, I don't, you know, I didn't want to do it. I said, you're going to can of worms, and, you know, it's already got paint. I said, if you don't want to lose money, don't paint the car. You know, so I kind of talked him out of it, but Mark being the kind of guy that, you know, he let me think that I had talked him out of it, but all he really had done, I think, is realize that he needed to come up with a different plan. And so we do have a good laugh now about this car being the offer I couldn't refuse. And how could you? Like, it's just, the thing is a treat. The rest of the story then, of course, is that, well, the Cougar's been finished for 2 years or 3 years, and you still haven't started this car. But what had happened in the meantime is I started the blue 60 Fury, and then I thought, well, if I start driving or putting too much attention or time into this yellow one, I'll never finish the blue one. So I've kind of been using this yellow Fury as kind of a carrot to kind of talk me through the big rusty shitbox blue one. And now that the blue one is nearing completion, I'm really actually looking forward to putting 2 on the road almost at the same time as kind of a prize for finishing that one, as I'll get to put this one together. So I'm really looking forward to doing some fun Plymouth Fury videos this summer. He definitely had my number with this, and I think it's a great story, and we always have a good laugh over it. Let's have a little look at the car here. I don't know too much of the history of the car, but I do know a little. The car was bought new in Montana, so it's an American car, American-made car, and sold and registered new in Montana. There you go. I don't think there's much difference between this and a Canadian example. I actually don't think there's any difference between this and Canadian models. So 1959 marks the first year of the Fury being a regular production model as opposed to a high-end halo model like it was before that. And so this more or less replaced the Belvedere at the top of the regular production range, and then they made a Sport Fury, which was kind of one line above this, which had your swivel buckets and whatnot. So this is not the absolute top of the line model, but it was a pretty nicely equipped car nevertheless, and you know, pretty dressy. It has the optional foamy spare tire deck lid, and interestingly, for 1959, it's all one color. Very often these cars were two-tone. Yellow is my favorite color, so really cool to see a yellow one. And yellow with a silver and black interior yet. It's all in really nice shape. There, you can see the headliner is really amazingly good. This is very delicate, and these tended to get waterlogged and fall down and fall apart. And it's a molded cardboard kind of fiber board, so very delicate and very hard to find them in good condition. So that's kind of a nice feature on the car. Nice silver and kind of gray black. So that's pretty cool. No power windows or anything, just a pretty standard model. There's very attractive door panels, lots of chrome and trim and different colors and such. So that's very nice. Here these are painted. I think Sport Fury, that might have been chromed. And but there's a very, very delicate silver foil on the door panel there, and yeah, so really, really nice. This Fury has the transparent steering wheel, which is very cool. They all had pretty much the same instrumentation. It's a push button, 3-speed. I think the Torque Flight became standard equipment in '59, but I could be wrong. Maybe you could still get Power Flight, I don't know. This one has a radio and a clock, so by the standards of this place, pretty fancy. This is a manual steering and brakes car, so That's actually kind of nice. There's very little to go wrong with that. It's got a very nice aluminum anodized panel on the dash here. Pretty fancy. And the even the instrument panel has fins on it, which is cool. These steering wheels are very hard to find in good condition, and this car must have been kept inside since new, because that wheel is, there's not a blemish in it. It's there's not a crack, there's no crazing, nothing, there's no chips out of it. Really amazing to see that. Yeah, you can see even the weather stripping is nice, and yeah, wind lacing, everything. So yeah, really nice. And I don't know if you caught that, but 54,000 miles. One really special thing about this car is it's all original paint, except for one little touched up blend on the front fender. You can see there are no masking lines anywhere. It's a all original paint car. I've never seen one of these cars that isn't rusty. And I mean, it's excellent. Like, this thing is excellent. It's a reference quality car, actually. There's a little bit of road rash from driving it, but every weld is still nice and tight, and just an absolute treat. All of this is just tight and nice. Had I known that I was going to do something like this today, I might have cleaned the car. I haven't even cleaned the car since I got it. It's just literally been driven in here. I shouldn't say I never drove it. I drove it a couple of times just to kind of shake it down. I did end up having to adjust the brakes, and I put 4 tires on it. You know, I just did some chicken shit stuff, rebuilt the carburetor. It was all gummed up, and you know, so I drove it enough to make sure that it worked, but that's about it. I haven't even plated it, so again, using this as a kind of incentive to finish the blue one. Oh, there's a blue guy there. One of the fun things about this car I found when I was going through it is there's the original owner's mileage records on there. And I figured out later that he was doing that because the gas gauge had quit working. So this is how he was making sure he didn't run out of gas. And I didn't know that, and I ran out of gas. Because the fuel gauge reads a quarter tank, even when it's empty. So that was something I learned the hard way. But that has been there since the original owner put it there. As far as I know, the story was that the original owner died in the early 70s, and his widow kept it in the garage and never used it again. No padded dash on this model, I believe. Yeah, that's still an all steel dash in 59, at least on this model. My only goal with the car is, you know, we'll take care of it and clean it up and make sure that whoever gets it after me gets a nice car. It needs so little, but it does, you know, they all need some work. It needs a tailpipe. You know, the temptation to put dual exhaust is definitely there. It did not have it originally. I don't know. It just sounds so cool. So I don't know. You guys can leave me a note. Am I ruining it if I put dual exhaust on? I don't think so. Let's have a look around the front here. It's just packed in this garage, so there's really very little room to film it properly, but see the 1959 style updated grille and the nice little fluted headlight covers here. Really cool little stainless on it. There's the last appearance of the Plymouth Mayflower, and that would be gone for $60. Silver filler panels here, and a silver valance underneath. Yeah, and again, I think a fun, if you were restoring one, this is a good reference car for this type of thing. I really like the combination of the space age styling with the very delicate scripted emblems and such. That's really nice. It's so delicate. Yeah, nothing exotic. 318 poly. Nice, you know, runs well. Solid lifter. So, you know, it makes a little noisier than the later ones, which are hydraulic, or at least my other one is. Not much to report. Still generators until 61 in the States and 62 in Canada. Yeah, nice, eh? Still got, oh, it's do not wash or oil. So, yeah, this is only a few years after they went away from oil bath. So, the old single jam jar cylinder. And, yeah, manual steering and brakes. So, really, almost nothing going on under here. 230 horse. And they run really well. I did a cold start video many years ago where we fired this thing up and ran it for a few minutes, but I haven't even started it in several years. We have to get this thing outside and go for a drive. Nice stainless on the car. These are also very delicate. They'll buckle here if you get even the slightest accident. Put a new set of 750 14s on it. And these cars were silver painted rims, which I wasn't aware until I got this one. I think starting in 60 the rims are black, or at least I could not find any evidence that the ones on my other car were ever silver, so they're black. But I think these earlier ones were silver wheels. Look at how nice all the paint is in the wheel covers still. That's the nice thing when you get low mileage cars, this stuff isn't all beat out. You know, still some rash here and there on the car. Definitely has been used, but you know, there's a couple little door ding kind of parking lot scratches in it, but I'm not worried about any of that. Again, just like the quarters, the fenders, you just never see good ones. These cars were just so rust prone. That part of the United States is very kind to cars. I know my friend Dave has brought a couple of forward look cars from the northern US, Northwest, and they are dry and clean. Now this was exceptionally well kept, like this was kept inside. And I think somebody liked this car even when it was new. I think they took care of it. Original gas cap there. It's weird that 59, they just put this ugly square door, because in 57 and 8 the door was actually contoured to match the fin, but I guess in 59 they decided that that was too much trouble. And you see the very typical Plymouth right from the early 50s. Did a concave rear panel. It's kind of one of their styling gimmicks and looks cool. And you see it right through 61. And these, so you can see that contour comes in here, and the taillights kind of fit inside that. And very nice taillights. They're in good shape too. Not all barked up or pitted up. Bumpers are decent. A couple little dings in it there, but I'm not going to worry too much about it. Big change from 58 with the fin no longer having the lights in it. The lights are now down here, and the fin is just trimmed with this slightly busy looking molding here, but it doesn't actually do anything. That's kind of the basic look at the car. There are a few things I'd like to do. I'll have a look at some of the more urgent repairs needed. There's a pretty bad dent in that windshield molding there. So you think, well, that'll be easy, just pop that out, but it actually means that all of this has to come off all the way to there. This comes off, then this comes off, then you might get that off. And I think a bunch of this damage was probably done when they replaced the windshield. It looked like somebody was having kind of a Friday afternoon moment when they put that molding back on, and if I could go back in time and advise them to do it properly, I would. But so that's all got to be repaired. The rest of it really nice. Car has survived very well. This looks like a factory fitment error that I would like to fix, just because that kind of thing bugs me. So there's that to sort out. There's a crack in that taillight housing that's been hit at some point. I'll keep looking for one of those. And yeah, all the side trim really nice and straight. Yeah, just very lucky the car survived. The lower valence is kind of dinged up on the front just from hitting parking curbs and whatever, so I would probably eventually pull that off and we'll straighten that up. Yeah, thanks for having a look at the old Plymouth here. You know I like this kind of thing. Sorry I'm not really feeling up to doing as much work as I should, but I thought we could at least have some fun, walk around and check out this car that people have asked about, and I was gonna save reviewing the car until it was on the road, but I thought, well, maybe we'll have a quick look at it today. It's a fun old girl, and we'll definitely be doing a lot more with this car as soon as the blue one in the foreground there is finished. And it's getting pretty close. I was thinking it might be fun once we have the blue and yellow here put together and plated, that we can take them out and drive them one after the other and see if we can, you know, see what we think of the different engineering. This is the very last of the full frame Plymouth cars, 1959. Starting in 60, there would never again be a full framed Plymouth car. Actually, there would only be full-framed Imperials. I think that went away after 68. Leave us a note and let me know if you think we should take these two Plymouths out and chase each other around, see what we think of how they drive. They're both running the same drivetrain and the same tires, so it should be a fairly even comparison, about as close as we can get now that they're both 60-some years old. I think it would be a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you guys for following us around and having a look at this old Plymouth today. I know we'll be back at whatever passes for normal around here by next week, and looking forward to getting back to getting some more work done and hanging out with the fellas a bit more and a little less hiding by myself in my house here. Okay, see everybody very soon. This is a regular contributor.
Same old shit.